Okay, well, let's get going. So just a bit of housekeeping, please. Actually, I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. But just to start off with a bit of housekeeping, just wondered if you could all keep your mics on mute. And if you've got any questions, keep them to the end. And Steve, my co-host, will collect them and we'll go through them a bit later on. So Apteco Dashboards, the future of data-driven marketing. Now, I know it's a bit of a statement, but Apteco Dashboards are already a very powerful tool. But can you imagine how much more powerful they will be as we migrate more features into our browser-based platform? G'day, my name's Ewart. I'm Managing Director of Apteco Australia. And today I'm going to talk to you about the power of those dashboards and how they interrelate to people's job functions and dashboard styles that those job functions require. I'm going to introduce you to the concept of Apteco personas. These are personas that we've developed specifically to reflect you, the end users, the resellers, the clients that are interacting with our software. I'm then going to run through some case studies and examples of those dashboard styles in action. And I'm going to use those, or the whole idea is to inspire your creativity. I would like to think that when you get back to your workspaces, when you get back to your offices, that you will feel inspired to create new dashboards that will help you make your job easier and help improve the performance of your business. A picture is worth 1,000 words. This is something that I used to say when I was a consultant many years ago. I'm talking a fair while ago as well. And in those days, what we used to do for data visualizations, we would use maps. And the reason we use maps and the reason we said a picture paints 1,000 words is because a picture does actually paint 1,000 words, and a map is very, very good at conveying that type of information. As you can see here, we've got a map of Sydney, and that map of Sydney has areas that are shaded in from different shades of green, with light green representing low penetration of customers, dark green representing more customers. And you can see the red dots that represent the proximity of stores. And it's very easy to look at that information or look at that map and interpret the data and understand exactly what's going on there. And that's really why we like to say that a picture paints 1,000 words. But of course, a picture paints 1,000 words, and a movie, well, a movie tells a story. And I like to think that a dashboard is like a movie. It can tell a whole story. And nothing tells a movie better or a story better than an Apteco dashboard. It's got the agility and the power to take your information so that you can analyze that data, look at it, interpret it, and tell a story about what your business is doing and how your business is actually performing in the marketplace. So let's start talking about the dashboard styles. So these are the dashboard styles that are designed to actually fit various job roles and job functions. There are 5 different dashboard styles that we've come up with to try and match those functions: exploratory, management, analytical, action, and tactical. If we look at each of those in turn, the first one, exploratory, is designed for the techie people. That's the techie people that are pulling the information down into an Apteco system, and they want to be able to evaluate that data. They want to be able to understand what the information is doing. So they create their single customer view and their CDP, and they want to make sure that the information that's being pulled into the system is accurate, is being portrayed correctly. A management dashboard, on the other hand, is designed to allow people to provide people with an overview of what's going on. So it's a high-level view of what's actually going on in the environment around them, whether it be the marketplace or their business place as a whole. An analytical dashboard is designed for in-depth reporting. So that's where you can do a deep dive into that data and run some analysis. And it allows you to understand what's happening within there and cherry pick some things that are actually going on. An action dashboard. Now that's where Apteco comes into its fore. That's where people are actually able to leverage the features within Apteco Dashboards and use those features to identify a problem, to come up with a solution for it, and then implement a strategy from the dashboard that will then resolve that problem. And a tactical dashboard comes after that. That allows you to then understand whether that strategy is actually working in the environment, whether it's actually providing the results that you want to. And if it's not providing the results that you want to, you can use the dashboard to identify what the issues are, cherry pick them out, and then go and resolve them. And hopefully that's what I'm going to be able to show in the demonstrations that we've got coming up, or the examples I'm about to provide. So I've noticed that a few people have joined us a bit late, but that's okay. I'll try and bring you up to speed. So what I'm trying to do now, what I am doing now, is I've got a session where we're talking about different dashboard styles and how those dashboard styles are designed to match job functions. And I'm going to go through some examples of each of these 5 dashboard styles that we've got here. And hopefully that will inspire you. So when you get back to your workplace or your office place, you'll be able to come up with new dashboard styles that will actually make your job easier or make your business perform better, or both, either way. So what we're using what we use internally as we're developing software for you is we use the Apteco personas. And these are personas that we've defined specifically to match the job functions that we think reflect you as the end users of our software. Now, these are personas. It's not a segmentation. We don't expect everybody to fall into just one of these buckets. We expect you to have many hats. But the point is that from a role point of view, there are certain functionalities that you'll need to perform within a dashboard, or you might want to perform within a dashboard. If I just go around these in a clockwise fashion, starting from the top left-hand side. So we have this concept of a connector stroke designer. This is the person who's responsible for bringing information from the various data sources, creating your CDP, single customer view, and then looking at that information and trying to interpret it to ensure that it's correct and is being portrayed correctly within the system. And they'll be using a dashboard to do that. And I'm going to show an example of how somebody might want to do that. The orchestrator, on the other hand, is actually doing the opposite. They're taking information out of the system, but they're cherry picking the people that they're doing it for. So they'll be doing it to actually implement a strategy. And they'll be doing that under the direction of the marketer. And the marketer will be using the dashboard to actually understand the product mix, understand the market, understand how the strategy is working in practice, so they can then go and they can evaluate it and maybe improve upon it. And they'll be doing it hand in hand with the analyst. And your analyst is your data scientist. That's the person that's looking at the data, they're evaluating it, they're hopefully coming up with models that allow you to predict who you should be using for particular campaigns, who you should be talking to, who's likely to churn, all those different types of things that can then be used by the marketer and the orchestrator to implement a certain strategy. And over all of that, you've got the manager. And the manager is looking at high-level reports. They want to understand how the business is performing, how the market's performing, how the market's reacting to the business and any products and services that you're going out with. So let's take those styles and then look at some examples of how they might work in practice. So I'm going to start off with the exploratory one. Excuse me for a moment. So the exploratory one is the techie. I don't want to go into any great detail with the techie one, because I can imagine most of you are sort of from a marketing background. So I'll just scoot over it. Not too fast, but I'll just scoot over it. So this is where you're doing advanced data exploration. You've brought data into the system. You want to make sure that data is correct. But also, once you've brought the data into the system, you want to understand how you can visualize it, how you can actually use that. And then also, from an exploratory point of view, as we bring out new features, you want to understand how you can leverage those features and how you can get the best results from them. So the application for that is to interrogate and establish the best way to present the information. And the persona would be the designer stroke connector, so people bringing the information in, and the analyst. This is the person that's developing the models around that. Now, the example I've got here is just a screen grab. All the other ones are interactive. I've only done a screen grab for this one because this is actually a screen grab of a dashboard we used when we were developing VENS. And coincidentally, as we developed Vens, we were also coming up with an orphan flag for designer. So this is the orphan flag that James was talking about yesterday. But just to explain what you're looking at here, we've got four Venn tiles. And I should actually explain that a dashboard, for those of you who've never seen a dashboard before, one of our dashboards before, a dashboard is made up of tiles. We've got number tiles down here, and then we've got the Venn tile, which is these four separate Venn tiles. And this, if we focus on these two numbers up here, we're not looking at these two at all. So this is a very small database. It's only got 20 households in it, and it's got 25 people. And we've got two Venn diagrams here, side by side on the top row. The one on the left-hand side is looking at, actually we've got two sets, what we call sets, which are the circles. The red circles in all of the diagrams represent the households, and the green circles represent the people. So we've got red sets, green sets, people and households. And what we can see here, because it's looking at it from a household perspective, is we've got 14 households that aren't related to a person and 6 that are related to a person. Conversely, when we look at it from a people perspective, we've got 15 people that aren't related to a household and 10 that are related to a household. That triggers off questions in your own mind. Why have we got people that aren't related to households, and why have we got households that aren't related to people? And that's exactly why you'd want to bring that into the system and try and understand that. So an interactive dashboard, your analyst or your connector would actually want to try and understand why you've got that disparity. Now, hypothetically speaking, in a real life scenario, that might be true to life. For any of you out there that are retailers, you would expect, retailers with store frontage, you would expect not to have an address associated with an individual that comes into the store and buys product. But you would expect to have a household with the people that do buy product online, because then you have to deliver it to them. So that would kind of explain why there might be that level of disparity here. But why have you got households that aren't related to people? Well, a couple of reasons I can think of for that. One is you've got some sort of legacy data, and you might find that your household table has got households in there that people used to live in, but that were customers and they don't live there anymore. So it's just some legacy information. But it could also be suppression information. You might have people that live in those households, but they don't want you to know that they exist anymore within your database. So you've removed them, but you've kept them, so to speak. So you can actually suppress them from future campaigns. So having explained that, the bottom row is the same information, but with a multi-measure chart on it, multi-measure information. So we've got households and people being expressed here. So we can see from the bottom one, we've got 14 households with no people, which you knew anyway, but 6 households with 10 people. And when we look at it from a person perspective, 10 people in 6 households and 15 people in no households. So that just gives you a bird's eye view of how an exploratory dashboard might be brought into play by a person in that sort of role. Now let's talk about management dashboards and management style. Now, this is the typical dashboard. This is one that you're probably more familiar with. It's the one that you would expect. It's providing that high level view. Historically, they haven't really been interactive. You haven't been able to click on things and do things with them. But there are more and more organizations out there that are providing dashboards that are interactive, but they're still high level. And they're designed really to provide information at a glance. And you would use things like key performance indicators or benchmarks to be able to understand what's going on within that dashboard, so you can understand at a glance how your business is performing. And the application is to identify strengths and weaknesses, to identify operational relevance, all those sorts of things, just at a high level. And the sort of person that would be doing that is a manager who's looking at the business side of things, but also the marketer, because they want to look at maybe how campaigns are performing and evaluate how those campaigns are working. Now, the other thing I should actually point out is that we have a license viewer is a license type that is suited for this type of interaction as well, which is the viewer license. So that comes free of charge with your installation, and you can have as many of them as you want. There's no limit to it. But the only restriction is that all they can do is view and interact with the dashboard, which is exactly what you want to do in a management dashboard. So now let's go and look at an example of a management dashboard. I know this drag seems to have a delay on it at the moment, so I'll give it time to give you all time to be able to see it properly. but this is my management demonstration. And this also takes advantage of one of the new features. It's one of the new features that's going to come out next week, or next week, or maybe the week after next, which is a tile-based filter. And just to explain, for those of you who've never seen a dashboard before, again, so this is fully interactive. I can click on things and do stuff. So if I click on this segment, I can add that as a filter, and the whole dashboard will change. Actually, I should have tested this before I did it, but I've just pressed the button there, so we'll see what happens. So the whole dashboard will change, and it will go off to the server, which has decided to go to sleep because we're in Australia. Great stuff. Okay, so it'll go off and it'll filter down, and all those tiles will change very slowly. Very, very slowly. Right, okay. And you can remove a filter just like that. And then you can go and refresh the whole thing and see what happens. And you hope that it's not crashed on you. Brilliant. Here we go. I knew I should have done that. Okay, so let's just talk about the tiles themselves. So we've got 6 tiles on the left-hand side, 6 tiles on the right-hand side. I should also say this is actually our sandbox environment, as you can see up there. So this is our demonstration. This is our pre-demonstration version, which is why I'm able to use our tile filters, which haven't been released yet, which is, I'm going to use it as an excuse for why it's going so slow at the moment. But each of these 6 tiles are then mirrored, if you'll notice. So we've got, what I've done is I've segmented it, applied a filter across it. So this is just looking at a segment of the holidays database. I'm using the holidays database here. So this is a segment that I've called economy, and this is a segment that I've called premium. So it's using 2 different sets of the customer base. And I've got 167,000 economy customers, 16,000 premium customers. You can see from these number tiles that I've got, I can see the value, the total amount of revenue generated by economy, 141 million, total value of the total revenue generated by the premium was 59 million. Average spend is 406, oh, shit, 467. And the premium is about $1,000. We can also see a ranking of the top 10 destinations where it goes United States, Germany, and France, United States, Germany, Australia. Kind of easy to remember, which is kind of lucky because if it's decided to wake up, I'm going to apply another, make use of another feature here, which is our user filter. And I'm going to drill down. So instead of looking at all historic purchases, I'm just going to look at historic purchases from the last year. There you go, it's come back to life again. Now, interestingly, what you'll see here, still the same number of customers, which is what I would just expect, because I kind of fiddled the way the filter works. We can see that the total revenue has gone down for both of them because it's only representative of the last year's worth of information. But more importantly, we can see that the average spend for the economy customers has gone down from 400 and something to 396. Whilst premium has gone up from 1,002, I think it was, to 1,100. So we can see some clear differences there. Likewise, the destination rankings stayed the same for the premium, but if you'll remember, it was United States, Germany, France, and now the France and United States have changed position. So that's really how a management report might work. It allows you to do some level of interaction, but it's more a case of having a high level view. And in this case, we're having a high level view of 2 different customer segments and being able to understand what the main differences are between those. And on the back end of that, a manager might go and look at that and say, well, okay, let's go and find out why they're increasing their spend and these guys are decreasing their spend. And then they'll go to the analyst and they'll say, right, analyst, go and have a look at that. Go and do some analysis down there. Now, it'd be lovely if I could actually tie into that, but I'm not going to be able to because most of this data is made up, as you know. But what I can show is an example of an analytical dashboard and a deep dive into a certain specific type of area. So an analytical dashboard is for in-depth reporting, designed to allow you to drill and mine down a specific business area. And it might be for a specific business purpose. So I've got listed there compliance, customer understanding, and financial performance. Now, these are dashboards we've actually built for our clients. I couldn't emulate all of them. I can emulate the customer understanding one. So I'm going to show you one of those in a moment. But it allows you to understand the scale of an opportunity or the threat, or just understand exactly what's going on. And the personas that would be using that would be the analyst, the orchestrator, or the marketer. Really depends what the information is you're doing the deep dive on. So let's bring across an analytical dashboard that allows us to understand who our customers are. Okay, so I'm going to make that a little bit smaller so you can see all the tiles there. We're not really going to bother with the numbers, so you don't really need to be able to read those, but we do have those number labels on there, and I can zoom in and out if required as I go through it. Excuse me a moment. Now, I'm going to come up with a hypothetical situation. So we've got our analyst or orchestrator, one of the two, has been asked by the manager to go and have a look at the customer base, try and understand what's going on, because they've identified somewhere or other that sales execs are going in and they're buying a lot of personal injury insurance when they're buying holidays. It's a holidays database. So I can go in here, I can start saying, okay, well, and the manager wants to understand what the profile is of those sales execs, so we can understand more about them. Now, what we can do is we can say, okay, well, I've got personal injury there, so I can put a filter on that, and let's have a look at personal injury. And I've got this little arrow here, which indicates that I can drill down onto that as well. So I'm going to drill down onto it, and it says here, drill down for average premium. Very handy little tooltip. So I'm going to drill down there, and here we go. That's the average premium, $44. But I don't have sales exec on any of these tiles, so I can go to my user filter again. I can go people, helps because I know where everything is. But anyway, select my sales exec, and now I'm looking at my sales execs have actually purchased personal injury insurance for their holidays. You see the average premium is $44.70 now, and we can see how many customers are. I've got 3,700 with total bookings of 6,000, total holiday spend 3.7 million, average spend $608, $184 total insurance spend. So we've already got a bit of a story there, but let's go and find some more stuff out. Let's go and look at which channel they're using to come on board with. We've got dominant channels of travel agent, telephone, and Expedia. So let's go and drill down and look at those. That's representing well over 80% of them. So we'll suck that in as well. And let's go and find out whether they're actually booking these holidays too, that they're getting the personal injury insurance out for. So it looks like they're going to Australasia, Europe, and America. So let's apply a filter to those. And then we've got a drill down here. It says drill down to country, which is brilliant. Let's go and have a look at those countries. See which countries they're going to. A bit all over the shop. Let's go and then rank it. So I can use this little ranking here, and I can rank it descendingly. So you can see the main country they're going on holiday to is the United States, and then Australia, Germany, Greece. And we've got the age profile, we've got income profile, we can look at the distribution. There's a whole range of things here, but hopefully you're starting to understand the picture. So the concept is that we've been asked to go and investigate something, and we can quite easily do that with a dashboard that's actually set up to allow us to do this. And that's the whole purpose of an analytical dashboard. It's set up to allow you to do a bit of analysis work. You can drill down and analyze it and do a whole range of things with it. Now, an action dashboard. This is where I get really excited. This is where Apteco becomes brilliant, because we can go and do a whole range of things using features that are available to Apteco just at a touch of a button. Now, this particular dashboard that I'm about to show you is one we developed for a client, and we developed for a particular requirement. Sorry, let's go and talk about it first. So it's designed to define a solution to a problem. And the idea is you want to optimize the impact of whatever the solution is, whatever strategy you're going to implement. And really, using our strapline, you want to put your insight into action. So the application is really to instigate your strategy, and it would be your orchestrator or your analyst that's doing this. Typically, the analyst would do the back-end work, and the orchestrator would actually do the implementation. Anyway, to paint the picture of what we did for this client, the client came to us with two problems. They said, right, we've got this problem because we've only got one data scientist, and the data scientist is spending more time actually running the campaigns than he is building the models. So I thought, well, okay, that's a bit of a problem, but I'm pretty certain we can solve that. Action demonstration, there we go. And then, of course, the other problem that we've got is that we're not going out with enough campaigns, so they're proving to be pretty ineffective. So what we did was it came up with this dashboard. Notice it's hardly got any tiles on it, which is brilliant. So I'm just going to make those a bit bigger so you can see what's going on. Now, this is specific to a purpose, but it's specific to a purpose to be able to apply a model that's been developed by a data scientist. All of this is made up data that I've made up, but it emulates what we did for the client. So the purpose of the dashboard is to allow you to optimize the number of people that you think are going to respond by, and yet minimize the spend that you have on your marketing campaign. Big ask, you might say, but it's really it's the utopia of any campaign. So actually, no, ideally you want them to buy the product rather than just respond, but that's a different story. So we've got 1.1 million people in the customer base, and our data scientist has predicted that 8,000 of those are going to respond to our campaign, whatever the campaign is. And yeah, may or may not be a high response rate, but we'll see what happens. But if we mail all 1.1 million people, it's going to cost us $3 million, and it's going to give us a revenue predicted on the back end of those 8,000 of 1.6 million bucks, which means we're going to make a massive loss of 1.3 million. So what we need to do is use this model that the data scientist has produced, and we've now gone and put into a Pareto chart. So what this allows us to do is we've got the categorical bands of the bands that he's come up with. So we've got some semi-decile banding going from 20 different bands, and each band reflects the number of responders, and because it's a Pareto chart, it'll actually aggregate those responders as we go along. So we can see the first band has got 2,000 responders, which is about 24% of the 8,000. The second band is an aggregate. So we've now got 39% of the responders, which is about 3,000 people. And if we go for the third band, we then get 50% of the responders at nearly 4,000 people. So let's just go for those. Just by clicking on that last column, add that as a filter, and bingo, we've got that 4,000 people. We've nutted that down from 1.4 million, 1.1 million to 171,000. More importantly, look at these figures up here. This is marvelous. Look, we're only spending 450,000 bucks on a campaign. It's quite a lot of money anyway, but we're generating $800,000 in revenue and making a profit of $340,000. Now, of course, our marketer comes along and goes, well, actually, our creative doesn't fit those people. We just want to, can we fine tune it a bit? So can we just go and target people that are earning between 50 and 100,000 bucks a year? So we go, yeah, we can do that. And we've got those people. And then, we just want to go and hit certain types of people based on their occupation. So I'll say we can go for those as well. What do we get now? Spot on, look at this. So we've got 52,000 people. It's going to cost us 138,000 bucks, but we're going to make $141,000 profit. So that's got to be a winner, hasn't it? So let's go and run a campaign out with those. So I'm going to call this my no-brainer campaign. Now, I should also talk about license types. So I could actually have a select license here, which is the next one up from a viewer license, but it means I can actually do this. I can create an audience. I don't have the power to create a dashboard, but I have the power to be able to interact with it and create an audience on the back end of it and hopefully run a campaign. We'll see what happens. So we can go and create my no-brainer campaign, click through to my audience. Here's my 52,000 people. This selection has come through. I can run a quick check panel over that using my audience check panel. We can see that I've met my marketer's requirements, right people, right income bands. I've got some geodems there that I don't really care about at the moment. And I've got a nice distribution across all the states and territories. So what I can then now do is I can go and export that. But what I really want to do is I just want to go and send this out as a campaign and see what happens. So let's go to our favorite ESP. We're going to use Spark Post here. We're going to do it with a personal email campaign. Let's go and select a creative piece I want to go out with it. This is actually a live cam. These are the creatives we used for our last physical event, which just shows how bad COVID's been. It was in 2019, it was vivid when they light up Sydney, light up the skies. It's brilliant. Anyway, we're not going to light up the skies with this one. We're just, well, metaphorically we might. Anyway, so my no-brainer campaign. We can go and export that, send it out, and then see what happens. And of course, seeing what happens is where the next bit comes in, because that's where we start talking about tactical dashboards. So the concept of a tactical dashboard is where we actually start to evaluate how your campaign is working in the field. Allows you to draw comparisons, evaluate performance, impact the analysis, see what the impact analysis, see how it's actually performing. And really what you're doing, the application is to demonstrate the strategy's effectiveness. So I'm just looking at the time. Now the personas it's developed for are the orchestrators and the marketer. The marketer so they can actually understand whether their campaign's working, and the orchestrator because they initiated the campaign in the first place. So they both want to see what's going on. Now I've got an example of one of those here as well. Oh, actually, it's this one as well, but it's going to be tactical demonstration. There we go. Now, for those of you that spotted that, I'm actually using a special workspace for this. I've got this workspace called Apteco Live that I'm using, which is how I managed to go and select that one within those. So the workspace allows you to collate your dashboards or your audiences into a single list. Just makes it easy to find them when you've got quite a few of them. And we might talk about that a bit later on. Anyway, so now this dashboard, again, this is another dashboard we created for a client. Not exactly like this, but it was very similar to this. And the client came to us with a problem. So this is tactile demonstration. You want to be able to work out, before and after. Let's do a before and after analysis to see how my campaign's working. And this is, the client came to us and said, okay, we've been into fast stats. We've developed our RFM segments, so high frequency, actually look at this, high frequency, high value, low frequency, high value, high frequency, low value, low frequency, low value. For those that don't actually know what that means, you're looking at the spending patterns of an individual over a given time period, so maybe over a year. And you're looking at how frequently they shop over the year, what the average value spend is, and what the average value spend is. And you just have cutoffs between both of those that allows you to form this quadrant. So it's a distinct quadrant. But the interesting thing about this segment is that people can move from one segment to another over a period of time. So they might spend less money or they might shop more frequently. And I'll look into that in a second. But the important thing from this point of view is this dashboard has two main sides to it. We've got the summary bit, and then we've got the deep dive analysis on it as well, which is why it's a tactical campaign. But it allows you to do other things, and I'll do other things in a minute. So over that 6-month period, so they came to us and they said, right, we're running these campaigns, and we're doing one campaign per quarter, and each quarter we run a series of emails to these people, to our customers, to try and encourage them to do something. In this case, they were trying to stop them from churning. I'm not going to do a churn demonstration here, but that was what their objective was. So they wanted to compare one quarter to another quarter to actually understand what the movement was between their RFM segments to establish whether they were actually reducing churn. And this kind of emulates that. It doesn't do it exactly. There are some issues with it, but it gives you a general feel for it. So within this campaign period, we've got a 6-month campaign period, 340,000 people in it. We can see the previous quarter's revenue, which was 58 million, this quarter's revenue, which is 66 million, and then the difference between those, 8.5 million. Actually, I meant to put the dots on there. There's a slight rounding issue there of $500,000, slight, never mind. But you get the gist. Down here, you can see that over the last quarter, they've actually sent out 1.4 million emails and had 56,000 click-throughs. And then here you can see the click-through rate breakdown of the people that have responded, have click-through to those emails. Now, interestingly, we couldn't do this for the client at the time because FENS weren't in dashboards, but it's something I've added on for the purpose of this demonstration. And what I've done is I've created two sets to represent those two quarters. So we've got the previous quarter here and the current quarter here. So the previous quarter had 283,000 people that created that 58 million bucks. And you can see the interest, and the current quarter has got 286,000 people which has generated $66 million. Now, at a high level, you might actually compare both of those and just say, well, there's only about $2,000 and a bit difference there, so that's what our churn's been. But that's not the case. You look at this, and you can see you've actually lost 57,000 customers. There's been 57,000 customers that bought with you in the previous quarter that haven't bought with you in this quarter. We have got 226,000 loyal customers, but we've got 60,000 customers that have just come on board. Now, they may not have just come on board, they might have been reacquired, but we'll find that out in a later stage, actually in a couple of seconds. So it's just an interesting way of using a Venn, and we've highlighted it there. Acquisition is pink, loyal is dark green, and churn is light green. Now, if we now look at these segments, now this is also an interesting feature, and it's also a light on what's going to happen. So on the back end of this analysis we did for the client, we then went back to the developers and said, look, this is a really cool idea. The way we've done this within this chart is we've used virtual variables to calculate what the movement is, a segment movement between this quarter and that quarter. But the developers are now in the process of developing something that will emulate this within FastStats with a view to then being able to use that within Orbit. So I'm hoping, kind of hoping, because I've got another client we're about to do this for at the moment, I'm kind of hoping that that'll be out within the next 6 months. It might be 12 months. We'll see what happens. If not, I'm going to have to write a lot of scripts. But anyway, if we look at this, oh yeah, I was talking about how you can get movement. So if we look at this high value, high frequency, high value segment, and we can just show how people move from one segment to another segment within RFV over a period of 3 months. 3 months, that's right. So we did have 16,000 sitting in high frequency, high value. 11,000 of those people stayed within that segment, and this is highlighted within this movement segment here. We've got a range of people have moved to low frequency, high value, high frequency, low value, low frequency, low value, and we've got 3,000 that churned. So we can see the churners here, the 3,000, and we can see the movements we've got here. So we've got a reduced frequency, we've got a reduced value, and we've got a decrease in value and frequency, which is what you'd expect because all of these are lower frequencies and lower values than high frequency, high value. So I just wanted to demonstrate to you what that movement is and how that works, which is something the segmentation report does really well as well, by the way. Now, what we want to do from our analysis perspective, for the sake of this demonstration, because there's a few little tricks I want to show you, is we want to look at people who've reduced their value. So we're selecting the people with high value. I'm going to add that as a filter. And then I'm going to look at the people that have got a low value, because that means they've gone from high value to low value. Kind of obvious, really. But anyway, so, and we've got 2,664 people that fall into that bucket. But what we've also got is we've got this bar here where you've got increased frequency and decreased value. Now, theoretically speaking, because they've increased the frequency of spend and decreased the value of their spend, they might actually be spending more money rather than spending less money. Now, I could drill down into that and find out more, but I just want to remove them from this chart. So I'm just looking at these 2 columns here. Now, I could have cheated and just clicked those 2 columns, but I want to show you this little trick. So I can add that as a filter. You can see the filter sits here, and I can click on that is. I can turn it into an is not, and then apply it, and it disappears. Now, I could have gone either way because there's quite a few, there's only a few columns there, but you imagine if you had a lot of columns, you just want to do an is not instead. It's a really handy little trick. Now, so I've now got 2,000 odd people that have reduced their value. And I want to find out why they've done that. So I want to go and go out with do some market research or something and find out. So let's go and do a research program. So I'm going to go and create a research audience and send them out a questionnaire and find out why have you stopped spending money. Research. I spend this wrong in time. Each research program. Let's go program. Program. There we go. Research program. Create that. And let's go and turn that into a list. Now, 2,000 people, that's a lot of people to send a questionnaire out to. Let's go and just send it out to 200. So I'm going to go, let's go and select a random 200 people. 200 people. And I only want 1 person per household because you don't want to send the same questionnaire to 2 people in the same household or more than 2 people in the same household. So there we go. 200. So now I've got my 200 people. I've got a filter over the top of that. Shan't bother doing a check panel, but now I can do an export. Now, I don't have a creative piece that I can do. I can't go out with an email to it. I really need to send that back to my analyst and ask them to go and sort out, or analyst or orchestrator, really depends who I am. Let's pretend I'm the marketer. I want my orchestrator to go and orchestrate a research program for me. So I need to export that as an earn template, which basically means just a list of the unique reference numbers associated with that person. And I'm going to whack it into the public folder in FastStats, which is where that's where our analyst plays. Maybe our analyst can have a look at it first, and then he can pass it on to our orchestrator to actually go and do something with it. So I've now got my earn file using my earn template. It's gone to the public folder. I've called it research program. Let's go, please just validate this. You'd normally put that into a file name, but I'll just whack it there anyway. And now I can go and export that out. And hopefully my analyst will go and check that I've done my maths properly and picked out the right people. And then my orchestrator will send out the campaign for me. And within a few days, I should actually have some sort of answer about why those people are churning. Not churning, what are they doing? Paying less money, that's it. Right, so there we go. That's an example of a tactical campaign. So what's coming soon? Well, coming soon, hopefully within the next 12 months, we will have more powerful filtering. I definitely know we'll have more powerful filtering because we'll have it within the next 2 weeks. But on top of that, we'll also have FastStat selections in the filters soon as well. And the FastStat selections will give us even more power. At the moment, Orbit isn't restricted. Well, it is a little bit restricted in what you can do from a filtering perspective. But you imagine being able to use a really, really complex FastStat selection as a means of doing a filter, then that's going to come in. Likewise, we're improving the geographical mapping. So I'll be able to stand there in front of clients and go, hey, a picture tells 1,000 words. I'll be able to do that again. And then I'll be able to say, but a movie tells a story, because I just like saying that. And then profiling. Profiling should be coming out fairly soon as well. 12 months-ish, I don't know, somewhere around there. It's going to be soon. It's the next one off the cab, next cab off the rank. So I started off by saying Apteco Dashboards, the future of data-driven marketing. Hopefully I've managed to prove that. Hopefully I've managed to inspire you to think about all the lovely things you can go and do with an Apteco dashboard now. You don't have to use our personas. You've probably got personas of your own that represent your own clients, or you might use internally. So go and create your own personas, but you can use ours as a baseline if you want to. There's actually a link to it in this prezzo earlier on. But the whole point is that your dashboard, you need to make sure your dashboard style fits your target audience, so that they can basically provides them with the flexibility and the direction to be able to do the things that they want to do, helps them perform their job more efficiently and more effectively. And of course, your dashboard style should be intuitive and easy to understand. So put lots of little wordy bits around it, explaining exactly what that says. Less is more. No need to fill it up full of tiles. That what was it? That dashboard I showed earlier just had a few tiles on it, and that worked a dream. More importantly, you want to tell a story. Tell a story and make sure it all works. So, do we have any questions? Don't worry if we don't. I have a few ideas about what I can. Oh, I've only got 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes to show something else. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll show something else. Look at this. This is a beauty. Only because I've lost it. No, here we go. Here we go. Right. Now, this is a dashboard that this is a live dashboard. Alive because it updates every hour on the hour. And the reason that I get excited about this one is because I use it to, are there any out-of-the-box dashboard templates? No, there aren't, says Neil. Great question. It's one of the things we're actually planning to do. We're just waiting to have more features in there and that level of functionality. It would be nice to have some out-of-the-box dashboard features, dashboard templates, and it's certainly on one of my lists of things to try and do. And it's one of the reasons why I go into a lot of clients and design some dashboards for them, just to make sure they can see the information they want to. Actually, we're looking at an out-of-the-box dashboard template. How about that? So this is one that we developed internally, and we use this to, and I don't know whether Neil is a partner or an end client, but we use this internally, and we developed it because we have a whole bunch of demonstration systems in Australia. And those demonstration systems we share with clients, and we'd like to know whether the clients are looking at the demonstration systems or not. So I've avoided putting any of the client data on here so you can't see who's looking at it, but this shows across 3 separate systems that we've got running. And I should also say we put it on a client site. So the client can now use this because they've got multiple systems and they want to understand, specifically, they want to understand which of their sales guys are using the dashboards they've created for the sales guys. And they've got a KPI to actually use the dashboards. So their manager's actually using it to actually evaluate whether the sales guys are doing what they're meant to be doing. But anyway, so this is a dashboard that we have that looks at the log files for the on the back end of the Apteco platform. So we can see what systems are running. We can see which platforms, which are the individual platforms they're using. So you can see Designer, Discoverer, Orbit, People Stage. We can see what people are sharing. We can look at how many logins there are, how many dashboards have been created. I can focus in on a particular systems, which is the Apteco system, add that as a filter. So the Apteco system is the one that I've been demonstrating today. That's not coming up on any of those. You can see that the main bloke using it is me. But you can also see that there are a number of other domains that are going on there. Some of these are partners, some of them are other offices in different countries. But hopefully you get a gist of what that is. So you can go in there, you can say, okay, who's been using fast stats, for example, had that on as a filter. It's probably just going to be me. Oh no, okay, Steve's been having a crack at it as well. That's interesting. The spot he was in there. Okay, so it's so that just gives you an idea of how that works. And we're probably with 2 minutes to go now. So as there are no more questions, I would recommend that you go back to your event panel and start to join in with the session. So, and we'll call it a day, if that's okay. Hope you all enjoyed it, by the way. I did.